National polls show President Trump and Republicans are shouldering more of the blame from Americans over the government shutdown, despite their best efforts to point at Democrats. And joining us now, president of the progressive public opinion research firm, Impact Research, Molly Murphy. Molly, what more did you find on this?
Yeah, well, so one thing that I'll just start out with is shutdowns aren't popular. Polling is going to find people don't want the government to shut down. They expect that elected leaders can figure out some type of solution to avoid this. So to some degree, it reflects badly on both parties. But the interesting thing about shutdowns is that people don't decide who to blame based on whether or not the government's shut down or how long it lasts. They decide who to blame based on the issue that the shutdown is being litigated over, and that's health care. And an interesting poll that came out in the middle of the shutdown found that only 28% of Americans say that they are very concerned about being personally impacted by the shutdown, but 60% of Americans are very concerned that 4 million people are going to lose their health insurance if these tax credits expire. And so the pain point between the shutdown and what the shutdown is actually over is totally out of whack and against the Republicans in this. And so the blame is shifting towards these Republicans as Democrats have defined this shutdown on terms of health care. It's the right fight.
Yeah, and of course, they're also coming on top of the Medicaid cuts from the Big Beautiful Bill, which is hurting people already. We've seen areas over the last couple of years where Republicans have lost ground, but Democrats haven't been able to make up that ground in polling. So there's been a kind of disconnect between dissatisfaction with President Trump and some of his policies and the failure of Democrats to kind of capitalize on that dissatisfaction. Do you think this could be different? Do you see Democrats starting to pick up some ground because of the shutdown that could help them even potentially next year?
Yes, it is early in terms of some of the metrics you might look at.
Yeah, but we want
the generic,
now,
the generic ballot and popularity. But here's what I'll say. Voters disapprove of the way Republicans are handling this shutdown by far larger numbers than they disapprove of the way Democrats are handling this. They also trust Democrats on health care. And one of the biggest problems we've seen this year in polling, and really even in 2024 to an extent, that hurt Democrats is voters said, I don't know what Democrats stand for. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, you know what he stands for. He's very decisive. This is a moment where Democrats are saying, this is what we stand for. We stand against these health care cuts. We stand on the side of people keeping their health care, protecting Medicaid, and making sure that people are able to get by. And so that is really galvanizing. And I do think that this is a good unifying and defining moment for Democrats to say, this is what we're for. And by the way, Republicans want to take your health care away so badly that they will shut the government down over it.
Yeah, which is why the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, I think, really helps them.
Striking.
So spin that out further, then, because the other problem for the Democrats facing the midterm elections next year is that the Democratic brand has been so in the tank because people are saying, we don't know what they stand for. Are you saying that this then actually could have, if they can find something to stand for, could they overcome some of the damage that was done to the party during the 2024 election?
Absolutely. So costs are the biggest concern for voters. We talk about this in terms of health care, but for Americans, when I do focus groups across the country, when they're talking about health care, they're talking about another cost they can't afford.
It's affordability.
They fundamentally elected Donald Trump because he said, I'm going to address prices. And they have seen repeatedly, since he's been in office, no focus on lowering costs, the tariffs, Medicaid cuts, now this. They're seeing 75% of voters this week in a poll that came out said that Donald Trump isn't doing enough to lower costs. What we are seeing now moving in polls is that those numbers are coming up for Democrats on the party that is looking out for lower costs, the party that is looking out for you in health care. From August to now, Democrats have gained ground on fighting to protect health care. Democrats now have a 15-point advantage over Republicans on this issue. And this is the defining issue of this Trump administration and of this Congress, is taking health care away from people. So if you've got a party that's got a 15-point advantage on that issue, when people are so concerned about cost, they're not seeing the president or the president's party even come to the table to try to have a discussion about it. It really reflects well on Democrats and very, very poorly on the Republicans.
All right, President of Impact Research, Molly Murphy, thank you so much. I want everybody to look at that Washington Post poll down below. Again, I've been through that. And TJ just took it off.
I know.
Seriously, Can we send him
He
back to
likes to-
CBS?
No.
Seriously, when he was at CBS, though, he was still messing things up. He had a remote from over there.
Yeah.
Look, who's mainly
he's
responsible
still
for the government shutdown? Trump chippy 47, Democrats 30. Again, I can tell you, as somebody that's been through this, the caucus does look at this, and when I hear Republicans running around going, well, you know, we gave them a clean CR. I'm like, oh, poor fools. You sound just like me when I was 33 years old. Well, it's a clean CR. You know, technically, we're just giving them back what they gave us 6 months ago. Doesn't matter. If you're down 17 points in a poll, Jeffrey, you know, people start talking in the caucuses.
I've been thinking about how many Americans actually know what a clean CR is. I mean, it sounds like something you would get at the hospital.
Right.
Like, yeah. Well, my
Doctor,
CR,
can you give him a clean
my CR was clean,
I'm not
so
sure.
I guess I don't have to get it for 10 more years. No, it's so interesting because the one issue the Democrats still have, they don't, they're down on immigration, they're down on crime, they got healthcare.
Right.
And this is why, as I'm listening to this conversation, I think that this can't go on for much longer. Obviously. I mean, Trump is sensitive to this. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene is picking up the sensitivity to it,
right,
he's got it. I mean, he has better political antennae than Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.